the Republican Party and Ron DeSantis, do me a favor. Pick up a book and read a book. Read a couple of books. Read an African American history curriculum so that you can understand that the birth of European history started on a continent in Africa.
Wow. You didn't know that, did you? All of Western civilization started in Africa. Didn't you know that? Hi, everybody. Welcome back. Auntie Speaks. If you want to help me out, please subscribe. This is Jamal Bowman. He is a congressman. Yes, he's a representative of the people. And he's telling Republicans and DeSantis to open a book. Well, I don't know. I think we might need to look at his history that he's spouting. Let's take a look.
To protect and preserve Black history, to protect and preserve love for Black people, and by the way, love for all history and love for all people. Because Black history is American history, and American history encompasses the history of everyone. And I want to speak directly to the Republican Party. I'm smiling on them as well because some of the things they say and do, you got to laugh to keep from punching somebody in the face.
I just want to pause there for 1 second. And I want you to imagine what the media would do to a Republican who said that they wanted to punch a Democrat in the face. What would they say about that particular person? But oh no, this is a Democrat. So it's a protected class. And even more, he's a Black Democrat. So you can basically say or do whatever you want. Whatever you want. And he is mad. He's mad at DeSantis for canceling an AP program. An AP program on Black studies. Why would DeSantis do that? Well, let's see.
So, as you know, in the state of Florida, our education standards not only don't prevent, but they require teaching Black history, all the important things. That's part of our core curriculum. This was a separate course on top of that for advanced placement credit. And the issue is we have guidelines and standards in Florida. We want education, not indoctrination. If you fall on the side of indoctrination, we're going to decline. If it's education, then we will do this course. So when I heard it didn't meet the standards, I figured, yeah, they may be doing serious. It's way more than that. This course on Black history, what's one of the lessons about? Queer theory. Now, who would say that an important part of Black history is queer theory? That is somebody pushing an agenda on our kids.
Yeah, that seems rather reasonable. Nothing scary, nothing crazy. It is, look, if you want to teach Black history, great. Teach Black history. But if you're going to teach a course and put in queer theory and intersectionality, then you're not teaching Black history, and that does not meet the standards. Make sense?
Or to keep from crying. The Republican Party and Ron DeSantis, do me a favor. Pick up a book and read a book. Read a couple of books. Read an African American history curriculum so that you can understand that the birth of European history started on a continent in Africa.
The birth of European history began in the continent of Africa. And he's telling Republicans to pick up a book. Wow. You have to be truly ignorant of history to make a statement like that.
And we know that you are trying to erase that history because you don't want Black people to have knowledge of self. You want to keep us dumb, deaf, and blind so that you can oppress, suppress, and control us. But guess what, DeSantis and Republican Party? It ain't happening. We ain't going back to slavery, where it was illegal for us to learn how to read and write. And when we tried to learn how to read and write, you chased us, raped us, and lynched us. We're not going back to slavery, Ron DeSantis. We ain't going back to Jim Crow. We ain't going back. This isn't Make America Great Again to be the kind of America you wanted it to be. We are standing here enlightened, empowered, and we are woke as hell.
Wow. Yeah. We want you to go back into slavery. We want to reenact Jim Crow. We don't want you to read and write. Oh, that's why, we pay literally billions and billions of dollars a year in public schools. Some of the most well-funded public schools are in Black neighborhoods. Yes, you look at Chicago, New York, where the African-American community has a higher percentage, Washington, D.C. The price per pupil in those areas is some of the highest in the country. But yes, we don't want you to read. Yes, because we don't want young kids indoctrinated into non-history. That means we want to put you back into slavery. That has got to be the dumbest thing I have ever heard in my life. And all it is hyperbole. That's it. All you want to do is scare people who don't know any better. And I feel sorry for your constituents. You should not be an elected member of Congress by saying stuff like this.
Yes, sir. So you can try to continue with your anti-woke agenda, but the only people who ain't woke is you. You on the House floor today trying to kick my sister Ilhan Omar off the Foreign Affairs Committee, the first African refugee to be elected to Congress, speaking truth to power and uplifting our entire nation by holding us accountable to our ideals as a nation. You are scared of that truth. That's why you continue to live a lie. On the House floor today, you are equating socialism with communism and dictatorship. That's not even what socialism is. But if y'all read books, you would know the difference.
Yeah. The difference between socialism and communism is tyranny? Is it really? Do you know where socialism was birthed? Do you know? Have you opened a book? Yes. Socialism was a movement that started in, I don't know, maybe Italy, maybe Germany. Yes. I mean, Italy was termed fascist, and we added the label to Nazi Germany as fascist. But the Nazi Party was the National Socialist Workers' Party. Does that sound familiar? Mr. Congressman, maybe you should open a book. Yes.
You would know that before we came to this country, we were kings and queens, never porch monkeys. There were empires in Africa called Kush, Timbuktu, where every race came to get books to learn from black teachers who taught Greeks and Romans, Asian Arabs, and gave them gold when gold was converted to money. It all changed. Money then became empowerment for Europeans. And you're still using that money to oppress us under the thumb of plantation capitalism.
What? Okay, so according to this gentleman, there were kingdoms in Africa, and everybody came to those kingdoms, and they gave them books, which didn't exist in the ancient world, but somehow they gave them books and taught the Greeks and the Romans how to read. And you want DeSantis and the Republicans to pick up a book? Do you really? This is literally like the craziest thing I have ever seen. And I want to reiterate, this is an elected official, a congressman to the United States of America. I hate to let you know something, sir, but the earliest form of writing that we know of was Sumerian. That's the Middle East. No, that's not white European, and that does not hurt my sensibilities that white people did not create written language. Doesn't hurt me at all. I don't have to make up history and say some French guy or some Norwegian guy or British guy made up written language. I don't have to do that because history is either fact or fiction. So what are you talking about, sir? Are you talking about Egypt? Well, I hate to tell you that there were large civilizations before Egypt, and most historians do not consider Egypt as the African continent. Now, it is on the African continent, but history is labeled by epochs. The Roman epoch, the Sumerian, the Babylonian epoch, the British epoch, the American, the Aztec. You don't just attach them to Africa just because they happen to be on the continent of Africa, because it doesn't fit with history, because some things could technically be on the Asian continent, and I believe Sumeria is technically on the Asian continent, but you don't consider it part of Asia. And that's not knocking Africa. Look up Thomas Sowell. He really talks about why certain cultures advanced and why some didn't. It had to do with water. Okay? The African continent was landlocked. So what we term the African continent was basically quite regressive, meaning most of them were hunter-gatherers. That is not a knock. It's just the way it is. They were landlocked. Egypt is different. Egypt had the Nile. And when you have access to waterways, information is passed to different communities. That's not a knock. North America, those Native Americans were basically Stone Age people. They didn't have written writing. They didn't have the wheel. But South American natives did. They had the wheel. They had written language. They had astronomical observations. So it's not a knock on native cultures. It's just history. It's neither good nor bad. And you don't need to make up history to make African Americans feel good. That doesn't do anything other than show your ignorance. Okay, guys, this is super dangerous because the lies have now become so common that a congressman can scream it from the hilltops and feel perfectly fine that he's not going to be called out. So please, like, comment, and share. Pass this around. This person needs to be demonized. He needs to be called out. Whether he's a Democrat or whether he is a black individual, it should not matter. You say dumb stuff, you should get called out. Thank you. I'll see you on the next one.